Hello everybody. So I want to demonstrate how to prove that the people that are in your census records, in this case I have Micajah Davis in Randolph County, North Carolina, and as you can see he's living alone. And so how do I know that that's my guy? Well, first of all, his age is 40 years old. I'm looking on the previous page, by the way. He's 40 years old, which is within a couple of years, which is acceptable. Within a couple of years, he was born in 1808. And so in 1850, at 40 years old, that would have been, if we do the math backwards, it would have been 1810. That's close enough. But he's a blacksmith here, and I've never known him to be a blacksmith, and it doesn't mean he wasn't. But you know, how do I know this is him? And so one of the things that you can do is you can, search pages back and forth, usually several pages, to see if there's family living nearby, like especially next door, if there's other siblings living nearby. I'm going to go forward now to see if there are other Davises in the neighborhood. And I don't see any, but that doesn't mean anything, right? So wait for it. So here I'm back on image 92 where he is. So I'm going to go forward a couple pages to see if there might be some more Davis family members living nearby. And it could be that he's out there by himself. Now the whole family was still in Randolph County, North Carolina at the time. And they go back for a couple hundred years, being that one of the ancestors was one of the first people to help settle Asheboro. Okay, so I don't see it. I'm going to go back to 92, where he is. And I'm going to, I'm going to leave this on this page for reference. He's got a real estate value of $400. Now, I have found a ton of real estate records for him dating back to 1833, I think is the first one. And this doesn't give us a whole lot other than it says the Northern Division. So, and the land records that I've found so far and the transcripts that I've created so far basically only tell me that, it's 40 acres or something from the tree post to the creek to the whatever. So I haven't really mapped it out yet, but I'm still working on it. So the question then is, wait for it, are these census records his? And the other way to figure this out is to go to search. Now, not this search, card catalog. And we're going to drill into the state and the county and try and see if there are any other Micajah Davises in that area at that time. So I'm drilling down into Randolph County. Where are you? There you are. Okay, I drilled in too far, because now I'm just getting this book. So let's back up to the state. I forgot the census records are at the state level, not at the county level. So we're going for the 1850. I'm going to sort by record count. We can actually even filter this down to find it faster if we wanted to. 1850. All right, so we're looking to see if there are any other Micajah Davises in 1850 in Randolph County. Now, keep in mind that it could be spelled differently as well. Like, I've found a lot of records where it's spelling Micajah, M-A-C-A. So it could be that too. All right. Now, what I had done for the 1870 census is I went through this side and I went into North Carolina. I went into the county. Randolph, where are you hiding? There you are. And then I went through every one of these individual divisions. Now you could do it that way as well. Right now, this is the faster way. If I want to be super thorough, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to search every one of these individually, page by page. Because when you go into doing this way, you're getting just that microfilm roll. It looks like there's 3 different microfilm rolls here, or at least 3 different sections of a microfilm, 3 different townships, right? And I'm going to go through every image and look for Micajah in the index. Now, you can do the same thing doing it this way, but it is not as perfect. I'm just saying. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll leave the parents there. Sometimes I X these out if I have too much. He did marry a gal named Christian. It depends on it depends on what record you look at. So let's hit search and see what we find. Now remember, I was specifically looking in the 1850 census, and I got results for 1810 and a variety of other results. And so I really would like to see if there's just 1850 here. Only 133 results, so that's not too many. Northern Division, residence 1850. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the birth date. Okay, so this is the same record that I was just looking at, okay? So that one we've already seen. That's Virginia, Missouri, not a Micajah. I'm looking for Micajah. There's a Michael. He did go by Mike in one record. W.M. Davis, but that's Georgia. I don't see any other possibilities for Randolph County, North Carolina. And I could actually filter this down. I could, get this down to, let's say, the county, hit apply, and really narrow the results. And theoretically, there should only be one. And there is for Randolph County. So 1850, I had proven already to myself for the 1870 that there was only one Micajah, but I see only one 1850 Micajah. That's in the Northern Division. So I'm pretty confident that's my guy. Now, let's do it again for the 1860. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to his profile just to kind of clear out that whole search. I could have done it from the card catalog, I guess, but I just wanted to, again, drill into the location. Again, state level. We're going to go 1860s this time. And we're going to say, whoops, I hit the wrong button. Clear that. Census. And we're going to say 1860. And we want United States Federal Census. Right there. I'm going to type Micajah. There he is. And now, I don't always do this, where I actually use who's already in my tree. It just depends on the strategy at the time. In this case, I'm just going to do that because he doesn't have a lot of data in his profile, and it doesn't overwhelm the thing. So we're in 1860 now. I'm going to pull this forward to the county. I'm going to hit apply. I'm not finding anything, so let's go back to the state. It might be, I've already got his 1860 census, but it might be that he's under a different name. So we'll find out here in a second. MC Davis. All right, I'm not finding any other Micajahs, right? And this is really on broad over here for Davis. Even go adjacent states. Sorry, that keeps popping up. There's an M. Davis in Craven County, but that's a bit ways away. This is Virginia. Now, could he actually be in a different state? Sure. But Davis is a pretty common name, so this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. So let's go see what I already have for Micajah in 1860. What name is he under? Mike. That's the one where he's under Mike. Okay, but there's no other Micajahs for sure. We could change this to edit the search and make it Mike and see what happens. Search. And so here we have Michael. Let's get this back down to the county level. I really didn't think that that record that I have for him was him at first. But I'll show you. So he's born about 1809, which fits. There's no other Mikes or Micajahs. All right, so let's look at this record. The reason why I know it's him is because, wait for it, his brother's living next door. His brother's living next door. That's how I know it's him. He's listed as a peddler here, which is interesting. He was a blacksmith prior to that. He ends up buying and selling land like crazy. So because his brothers are living next door, I'm pretty confident that, yeah, I'm very confident that's him. All right, so the hunt continues. So if we go look at his profile again, we have 1850, 1860, and 1870, and I physically went through every person in Randolph County in 1870 by using that trick. Here, I'll show you. By using the trick where you go and you look at every... Whoops, I did the wrong thing. Please stand by. So here's what I did. Go drill into the location, and I wanted to prove to myself there was only one Micajah, and I was looking in 1870 and census records. So now you can see I have North Carolina, 1870. You could even, if you don't want to read the list, you can sort, because usually the census record always rises to the top. Now, instead of searching here, I searched over here. I went, and in a way, you're kind of right back to the beginning, because you got to pick the state again. And you got to pick the county again. So it kind of just depends on how you want to go about doing it. But I went through every one of these. So I'll open in a new tab, show you what I did. So what it does is it starts you on image number 1 of 30. And I've done a video on this. I don't know that it is out yet, but I've done a video on this. And what I did was I opened this up all the way, and I went through every single record. I went forward, and I'm looking for Davis, or something even close. If it was close that it could have been a Micajah Davis, or that it was a transcription error, then I went and looked at it on the actual image. And so I physically went through every single one. I saw a lot of family members along the way, but that's how I did that. And then when I was done with that, I would close that out and go to the next one. I would go to Back Creek, and then I would go, and I went all the way through. I think he ended up being in, it's either Back Creek or Asheboro Township. I think it was Asheboro Township. Anyway, so if we go back to his profile and look at that, we can see that he's in the Asheboro Township. So that proved to me, and look, it was misspelled. And I fixed it in the transcription. If you're not familiar with how to do that, here he is right here. That's Micajah, but they spelled it M-I-E, and I can see how they could say that. I think it's Y, I think, or maybe, yeah, I fixed it here. So it would say also, because that helps the algorithm. Okay, so now if we go back and look, he was born in 1808. He died in 1889. So I still have the 1810 through 1840 census to find, which is going to be a little bit more challenging because it's only the head of household. And then I also need to find maybe the 1880 census for him. So I have work to do. So I could kind of cheat if I wanted to and go from up here and search, since he doesn't have a lot of information in here. By the way, I've created some networks for him. All right. There's only 2. That's my own tree. And what is this? This is somebody else's tree. That's not what I want. Let's try this again. This is why I don't like this. I'm going to go to search, card catalog. Census records, 1840. You know what? Let me change that. I want to find him in 1880 first. 1880, USA, North Carolina. He's not in the mortality schedules. He's going to be in the census. Micajah Davis. Search. I'm going to bring this down to the state level. Actually, down to the state level. And hit apply. James M. Davis. It's not what I want. I know he's here. He dies in Randolph County. All right, let's change up some things. Let's remove his first name. Search. So now we're getting a lot of, he might be going by Mike too, right? How many pages of this do we have? 3. See, I'm seeing some of his brothers. Mike. There's Granville, though. About 1910. That is not North Carolina. Miles? Don't think so. He married a woman named Christine. Or Christian. I'm not sure what her name is. I don't see him on that list. Now we're starting to skip into a different state, see? Oh, this one's North Carolina. John. All right, let's try something else. Let's remove all of these other people. And let's just go M. And let's remove Ashboro. Okay. All right, so he's not showing up. Let's go back to his latest one that we knew about was 1870. He is married. She dies in 1877, if I recall. So she'll be gone by 1880. He's living next to somebody named Kearns and Walker. Sometimes you can find them. Oh, they're domestic servant. Okay. But that's all Kearns. Okay. Riley Potter. And Franklin Walker. All right. And there's William Davis. I'm just looking to see who the neighbors are, because sometimes we get lucky and we find the person we're looking for through them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take note. This is the Ashboro Township. All right. The hunt is on. We're looking for Micajah. Now, let me stop for a second, go look at my research notes. So I'm looking at my research notes to see what was going on in his life prior to the 1880s. So here he is in the 1870 census, as we had seen before. And now what I'm doing is I'm going, all right, his wife dies in 1877 and he dies in 1889. I'm wondering if he's living with a child, which means he might be living with, if she gets married, she's 21 years old in 1870. So she would be 31 years old in 1880. If he's living with her, because he's starting to get older, right? If we go look in, he's 64 here, so this is 1870. So in 1880, he would be 74. So this Sibby person, I actually think these two kids might be children of hers prior to them getting married. I don't have an exact marriage date for them yet, and I've only found a couple records that name her. I'm going to guess that maybe this person here gets married. And is her name really Sibby, or is it Libby? I don't know. All right, so she's born about 1849. Now, the other thing to do would be to search for Franklin Walker and see if Micajah is living next door, or who is that? Letty Kearns? She's 50, so she would be 60 years old. All right, so let's go try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the card catalog. I'm going to go back to USA. I'm going to census records. We're looking in 1880s, and we're going to look for the gal that was living next door. I think it's Letty Kearns, I think was her name. Letty Kearns. So let's do this, shall we? We're going to pick North Carolina. We got 1880 census. We're going to go Letty. Now it's going to try and find it in my family tree, but I don't have it in my family tree. And I think she was born in estimated year of birth year 1820. So we go 1820. What did it tell us where she was born? North Carolina. So we've got that. And let's just hit that and see what we get. All right. Letty Kearns, Concord, North Carolina, Randolph County, North Carolina. That's promising. Let's go look there. Open in a new tab. That looks like it might be her. I was looking to see who's living next door. Now remember, people are coming and going. There may have been more people who have moved in the neighborhood, right? I don't see them here. But that's one strategy. Sometimes you find them by searching the neighbors. And I don't see him here. All right, let's try another strategy. Okay, I'm back on the 1870 census, and we tried to find her. We did find her in the 1880 census. The age was right, and in fact, here is Letty. She's got Lewis Kearns, who's 23, and Flora Kearns, who's 4. The 4-year-old would not have been born yet, but the 23-year-old would be 13. And there's Lewis at 2. That doesn't make sense. Right? 1880, 23-year-old would be 13 instead of 2. Maybe that person was actually 12 and they wrote the number down wrong. Did we look at... it is a 12. Look at that. See? Don't always believe the index. That's crazy. We can adjust that. We can fix that. It is 12. Add a 1 to that and hit save. Now it is fixed. Okay. So long story short, we were looking for the neighbors of my ancestor, right? Micajah Davis. We found her in 1880, but he's not living next door to her. So either she moved or Micajah moved. So let's look for this neighbor, Franklin Walker. Okay. And this is an interesting situation. You have a 44-year-old black farmer who has a bunch of teenagers that appear... Oh, they're mulatto. Okay. All right. Now, let's go see if we can find him in 1880. So we're going to go back over to our search. No, we're going to have to just go search. Card catalog. We're going to start this all over again. USA. North Carolina. We're looking in 1880s. We're looking for census. We're looking for the 1880 federal census. And we're looking for this back over to the 1870. We're looking for Franklin Walker, who would be about 54 years old in the next census. Franklin Walker. And what does this suggest his birth year is? Whoops, sorry. Franklin Walker. All right, now there's Micajah Davis. This is saying the surname is Brown. How is that? Did they miss this whole family? There's Brown up there. They missed the family. They missed the family. They did not index this family at all. Oh, wait a minute. There they are. How is it? It's upside down. All right, fine. It's there. All right, so his birth year is about 1826. So we're going to say 1826 here. And was he born in North Carolina? He was. All right, so we'll put North Carolina here. And we're in 1880. All right, that's all we need. Let's hit search. Franklin Walker, same place. Right, is this 1880? I'm just home in 1880. Is his wife Betsy? There's a Jane. Oh, this is not his wife. I don't think these are his children. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, so let's go look at this. All right, so Estella, a daughter. Let's go look at this. You know, okay, so we found him, I think. Let's double check. Is there an Estella over here? Whoops, I'm in the wrong place. This person is 19 in 1880. She would be 9 years old in 1870. Yeah, this is probably the Betsy that we're seeing over here. Betsy. And Estella is 16 here. She would be 6 over here. Epsilla. I think that's the same family. All right, so in 1880 we found them. So the question is Micajah living anywhere near? I think Micajah moved. I don't see Micajah here. I'm going to go back one page. I'm in 1880 in Concord, Randolph County, North Carolina. I'm going to go back to see if I see any Davises. I see some Steeds, which are in the family. All right, let me go the other direction by 2 pages. So I'm going to go to page 12. So I want forward basically a couple pages. And I don't see any Davises. All right, so we're striking out using the neighbor strategy. Okay. So we'll close that out. So my theory is that Micajah moved. So back to the card catalog. We're going to do this the hard way. And we're going to go look at every township. Now I'm going to use the townships that I know are ones that he has shown up in. For example, Ashboro Township. I'm going to go 1880. And I'm going to look in the Ashboro Township specifically. So we're going to go 1880 again. But this time, instead of using this, we're going to come over here. I'm going to go North Carolina. We're going to go Randolph County. And we're going to go Ashboro Township. And now, there's only one township in Ashboro Township. And we have 15 pages to peruse. So I'm going to pull the index open because sometimes it's easier to do it this way. And I'm just looking for the surname of Davis. And then I advance to the next page. I'm going to pause and run through this so that I don't bore you, and I'll tell you if I find anything. Okay, it took me about 2 minutes to go through every page, just kind of looking for the surname Davis. I did not find him in Ashboro, so now what? Well, instead of going to Ashboro, I can go to Back Creek, where some of the other family has been, so I'll click on that and do this again. I'm going to pause and run through this to see if I can find those Davises. All right, I'm on image 23 of 24, and I found a bunch of Davises, but I would be looking for a 74-year-old in here, and I'm not seeing Micajah in here. So the hunt continues. Okay, I didn't find him in Back Creek in 1880, so let's see what other divisions might make sense. And I'm not seeing it here. Let me think this through for a second. Maybe Cedar Grove. He's going to be here, I promise you. It's just a matter of finding him. Ah, look at here. You think that might be Micajah? He's supposed to be, what, 70? He's supposed to be 74-ish. Let's go take a look at this guy right here. I'll bet you that's him. Let's go see. Oh, Micajah. Somebody didn't know how to spell Micajah Davis. Male white 74. He's a widow. That's him. He's a farmer. Born in North Carolina. Okay, so that's him. I'm confident. And the reason I'm confident is because his brother's living up here. There's Joshua and Rebecca. And he has since apparently moved. And he's a widow. And his wife died 3 years earlier. And let's take a look and see where we are. We're in Cedar Grove. My instinct was right there. All right, so this to me proves that sometimes the harder way is the easier way. And by that I mean by going through all of the townships manually, page by page, because this is clearly the same guy. And even though it is, no, it is what you are calling, where is it? This guy is the Micajah. This guy. Save. Done. All right, so that we got done. So now, oh, I have to do this too. I forget. Save to my tree. Yep. That's good. All right. So Micajah now we have 1850, 60, 70, and 80. And then he dies in 89. So now I need to go find the 1840, 30, 20, and 10. I don't know. You want to come along for the ride? Okay, let's think about this for a second. If he is in 1850 and we're trying to find the 1840 now, he's 42 years old in 1850. So that means he's going to be 32 years old. So he's still an adult. He's probably out on his own. And that would be in 1840. Now, again, I know that looking at my research notes, let's go back up to my research notes in 1840s. There's a lot of records going on here with land records that I'm still in the process of pulling. There's some Quaker records about him not doing whatever it is he's supposed to do in the Quaker Church. He is requesting to become a member of the Quaker Church in 1840. And so the time period that this is happening with him wanting to become a member of the church in 1840 is about the same time that 1840 census is going to happen. So here he's selling some land. There's a lot of land transactions going on right around this time. So my thinking is 1837, Joel Davis Sr., his father, deeds him some land. And I see I have a typo there. So he picks up 100 acres of land in Randolph County near Taylor's Creek. So we could look at a map and see where Taylor's Creek is. But I suspect he's going to be roughly in the same area in 1840. So if we look at 1850, I think this was the Northern Division. It is the Northern Division. So it could be that in 1840 he's going to be in the same place. So let's go back over to the search window, card catalog, census records. We're going now to 1840s, USA, North Carolina. Let's go here. Now we have to do this again, North Carolina. North Carolina. All right, Randolph County. So we only have 2 divisions here. So let's go look in the Northern Division. Now let's just do this. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and search. So we're going to go Micajah, Davis, and hit search. We might get lucky. He should be the head of household. Now remember, the rest of the family is not listed in... Let's drill this down to apply to the county. Jonathan M. Davis. I don't know that he's ever had another name. So, M.W. Davis, Northern Division. All right, see, I'm striking out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to where I could do this manually. Randolph County, Northern Division, 72 pages. Let's pull this up. You know what? 72 pages is a lot to go through. Let's go back. Let's try this one more time. Let's get rid of Micajah and just do Davis, Randolph County, and see if we can get closer. And we want... Wow, we can't filter down to Northern Division very easy. But that's where I'm thinking he's going to be. All right, this thing's driving me crazy. Matthew Enoch. Stop. There's his brother. I just want to look real quick before I go look at his brother, because he might be living in the same place. Jesse Davis, he had a brother named Jesse, but that's Kinston. That's not the right place. Northern Division. All right, I'm going to go look at this. Put in a new tab. 1840. Let's go look at this page. That says Southern Division. There's Joel Davis. Now, here's the thing. Micajah could be living with his father. So in 1840, his father's name's Joel Davis. In 1840, let's look at him in a new tab. I do have an 1840 for him. Let's go look at that. So, hang on. Please stand by while I get my act together. So in 1840, he's going to be 31-ish. So in this 1840 where Joel Davis is there a male in the 31-ish column? And I don't believe so. And, you know, it could be that he's still living in his father's household as an adult male. So here we have, this could be him right here, because this says 20 to 30 years old. 20 to 30 years old. Theoretically, we would want to see that tick mark there. That's a very real possibility. But I'm thinking 1840, he owned his own land by then. He did. He had his own land. We're on image 50 of 67 in the Southern Division. And I don't know that this is exactly the right Jesse or Joel Davis, but I think it is. That is jumping back a generation. 1840 Southern Division. Let's close that out for a second. That's the senior. This was the search list. Wait, I'm still looking to see if there's any of a Micajah Davis, which makes me wonder if he wasn't enumerated with his father. I don't know. This 1840 census is in the Southern Division. I want to dial this down, at least to the state level. You know, you got to keep in mind too that when the census taker was walking around, they may not have had the right dates on the birth dates, which is why I keep coming back to this Joel Davis record here, which matches the one that I have for Joel Davis. Wherever Joel Davis went, Joel Davis. This 1840 census matches that one, matches this one here. But let me go back over here for a second and take a look at this. So we have Joel Davis. This is the same one as I was working through page by page. Let's keep. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to page 1. This is on page 50. I'm going to go back to page 1 and I'm going to work through this whole division to see if I can find, it's actually every other page because there's 2 images per page, 2 open book, if you will. So if I go forward, you'll see, hang on, these are totals up here, so these pages don't really have any indexed information yet. So I'm going to work through the Southern Division here, and I'll get back to you. This reminds me of going through the old days of sitting in a microfilm reader at the National Archives in Laguna Niguel, Southern California, and cranking through pages and pages until your eyes were spinning in your head because you were constantly going through. At least we have computers and we can look at it from the comfort of our homes now, but when I was a young person, I would take my Saturday mornings and drive to Laguna Niguel from where I grew up in Southern California and try and get there by the time they opened. I remember it had a back door and big, shiny, huge hallway floors. That's all I remember. There's an Eli Davis. There's a Joseph Davis. I just want to point something out that these people right here, Mannering, Brookshire, and Alexander Gray, appear as people that he is buying and selling land to in the land records, wherever they are. Please stand by. I will show you. Mannering, Brookshire. There's John McDaniel. So this is 1843, and we're looking at 1840. So he has not purchased this land yet, but what's interesting is these are probably all next door to each other. Here's Joshua Davis, Mannering, Brookshire, John McDaniel, John Hill is a trustee. And so if we go back over here, we have John McDaniel, Mannering, Brookshire, and Alexander Gray, which I didn't show you, but he's in another deed. So I'm feeling like I'm getting closer. And by the way, I'm going to go back. So here's a James Davis too, but I'm going to go back for a second. I got to go back 2 pages because remember their pages, their name is only on one of the 2 pages where these guys are, where he does land transactions with them. This is image 52. If I go back technically 1 page, there's his father. That gives me more credence to the fact that I think he's probably enumerated with his father here. Because if we go forward, I don't think this is actually listed here. Let's go back. I'm going to go back. I'm on image 50. This is where Joel Davis is. And Joel Davis is, there's Gibson Davis. Oh, David, sorry. Joel Davis right here. Yeah, see these, this is 1840. I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right, so what I can do too is I can study the neighbors on either side. There's John Hill right there. So I can study the neighbors on either side to help give me confidence that this is the Joel Davis, son Micajah Davis, okay? And that's the 1840 census you were just looking at right there. So the hunt continues. And when I say the hunt continues, what I'm looking for is to see if he is enumerated by himself instead of with his father. Because I think he owned land by then, and he may or may not have been living on it. He may have just purchased the land. And I think he actually purchased it on behalf of his brother, who was not of age yet. And he got it from his father. So I'm still working through all those real estate records, which I found a ton of them at the county online repository. So now here's some other family members here, the Henleys. I'm still looking for those Davises. All right, I looked through the entire film strip, all 67 images, and I think this was actually both the northern and southern division, but I may be wrong. Oh, no. All right, so there may be a northern division. Let me go look there. So instead of going all the way back, all I'm going to do is click on the southern division and pick the northern division here. We'll see how many images. There's 72 images here, so we'll whip through this real quick. I found one that says, it looks to me like Dan M. Davis. who is about the right age. He would have been about 30-ish. And it's a stretch. Here's one that they indexed as Close Davis, and I don't know that I've seen a lot of names with the name Close, but I think that's Chaz, like as in Charles, maybe. But you never know. It could be Close Davis. Not my guy, though. Okay, I made it all the way to the end of the Northern Division as well. Ironically, I see Alex Gray here again in the Northern Division, which he ends up buying land from later on. So the only thing I can think of at this point is that he was enumerated with his father, because he is not showing up on his own in 1840 in Randolph County. So here's Micajah, and here's his father, Joel Davis. Now, the only way we can really prove that this 1840 is him, first of all, it appears to me, after going through the entire county, there's only one Joel Davis there in 1840, and he was there the whole time. So, to the best of my knowledge, that is him. Okay, so here's in the Southern Division, here he's in the Southern Division. So one of the things that we can do is we can take this 1840 census and we can take a look at all of the people and see how they line up with the actual family to determine who is fitting this 1840. So let me do that real quick in an Excel spreadsheet and I'll show you what I mean. So I've opened up a blank Excel spreadsheet. You can do this in Google Sheets just as easily. But what I'm going to do is I am going to close this record for a second, and I'm going to say, all right, so this is 1840 that we're working on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline each of the children. So this is Micajah and Jesse. I'm actually going to separate the boys from the girls. So let's do... How can I do that? All right, never mind. I'll just do it this way. All right, so then we have Edith. And we have Joel. And we have, see what I'm doing? I'm pulling these people from down here. I'm putting them up here. Okay, so we have Elizabeth. And we have another Eliza, which I believe is the same person. I just need to merge those two, and I haven't done it. And then we have Joshua, and we have Nancy, and we have Exum. Okay, so their birth year, so we got name here, right? And we have birth here. Birth, come on. Now, most of these birth years came from Quaker records. That's like kind of like it's a record book that they have where they actually list all the children's birth dates. And so that's where a lot of these came from. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to plug these in real quick. 1813 for Edith. Whoops, 1813 for Edith. Joel was 1815. Elizabeth was 1818. Joshua was 20. Nancy was 1823, and Exum was 1827. All right, so now what we're doing is we're going to take a look at this 1840 census. 1840 census view. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, what is the expected birth? What is the expected age in 1840? So 1840, right? So I'm going to do a quick formula. I'm going to say this equals 1840 minus this. Okay, so now what we do is we take this, and I'm just going to ripple this down. And by the way, let's put Joel in there as long as we're here, because Joel is the head of household, right? And his birth date was 1783. 1783. So I'm going to push that formula up. he would be 57 years old. Now, how does that, we'll call this expected age in 1840. And we'll double click there. Okay, so now what do we see in the 1840 census? What do the tick marks tell us? So the tick marks say there is going to be one male between the ages of 10 and 14. Oh, we should pay attention to male and female, so let's insert a column. Insert gender. Joel is a male. Micajah is male. Jesse's male. Edith is female. Joel is male. Female. Male. Female. Male. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, just for grins and giggles, is I'm going to center all of this. Okay, now, one male between the ages of 10 and 14. That would be here. Next one, 15 to 19. Male. 15 to 19. Maybe here? I'll put a question mark there. It's, you know, I mean, you got to remember, he may or may not have had a birthday yet, so I'm going to call it. Yeah. All right. And then 20 to 29, a male. 20 to 29. A female, 15 to 19. A female, 15 to 19. How many females? 1, 15 to 19. Am I doing that right? Yeah, 15 to 19. Females 20 to 29, there are 2. Females 20 to 29. There's one of them. Female 20 to 29. Yep, there's the other one. And that's it. So they're not counting the head of household? That's weird. So that means to me, total persons. So let's just double check to make sure everything got indexed, because there's 2 pages here and I'm not sure that it did. So let's go to the right one page. This is the slave schedule. Well, where they're counting enslaved persons. Let's see. I can't read what that says. And this part's not indexed, which is why I wanted to come over here. So let's go back to this page. Let's see. Joel Davis is on this line. Let's see if we can line this up in such a way that we could see what's on the next page. I'm waiting for it to go. Come on. It did not go. All right, so going back, Joel Davis is on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Line 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this tells me that they did not have any enslaved persons, at least that I know of. That would be this line right here. What does that say? Number of persons in each family employed. 7 total people. All right, let's see if this was done correctly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Okay. So these people are accounted for. What's interesting is Joel himself. Oh, 150 to 60-year-old did not make it in that index. That's weird. All right. 150 to 60-year-old. There's Joel. Are there any women? I think his wife may have been dead by then. But Micajah and Jesse are not there. So what are the odds that these two are living together? What if Jesse is the one that Micajah is living with? That's an idea. Otherwise, everything is lining up perfectly. It's just these two guys who are 30 and 32 not enumerated in this household. That doesn't mean that they aren't enumerated with somebody next door or some other household, even though they are an adult. So what I want to do is I want to look for Jesse as a 30-year-old, 29 to 31-year-old in this census and see if there isn't a male 32 years old living with him. That's my theory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the card catalog and specifically search this record set for Jesse Davis. And see if he pops up in the 1840 census. And I'm going to maximize this screen so you can see it better. Now, this says Iowa. I want to go and look in Randolph County, North Carolina. I'm going to dial this into the county. That's Moore County. I thought maybe there was a typo here. Okay, what I'm going to do again is I'm going to remove the name and just search Davis. Because I thought I saw Jesse in here before. There's Joel. We've been there once. Maybe that theory is a bust. There's Jesse Davis, but this is in a different county. "15 pages, but I want just this county." I'm going to look at this just for grins and giggles. I'll bet you that's... Come on. Yeah, see, it's Jesse Davis. But this is Moore County. That's Jesse Davis. But that's a different county, so we're going to go back. Close that. Alright. I can't find him. At least not right now. I can't. You know, when you get into this, the 1840s, it could be very realistic that he is enumerated with a neighbor. He's working a farm next door or something. These are the guys that he ends up buying land from, at least one of them. But on image, I believe it is image 50. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 51. Somewhere in this neck of the woods is... Alright, well, I'm back in the Southern Division on 1840, and I was looking at Joel Davis again, and, you know, unless he just didn't put the tick mark in there, that Micajah should be right there. Actually, there should be a 2 there if we are going to agree that, unless I did my math wrong, that these two brothers should be in there between the ages of 30 and 39, or whatever this is, 30 to 40. 30 to 40 on Joel Davis. Oh, that's females. 30 to 40 right here. There should be a 2 if there are both of those brothers here. But I don't see them, and I don't see any other Davises nearby that he could be enumerated with, unless he's enumerated with his future father-in-law, question mark? And I don't know what her maiden name was. Her Micajah married a woman named Christine, or Christian, not sure how to pronounce that. But it could be that this woman's maiden name, he could be working the farm of her father or something. So more work is to be done. Well, ultimately, I did find him in the 1880 census, and I was able to confirm really confidently that these other records are him. Hopefully you picked up a few strategies about using the neighbors or searching the neighbors or comparing the neighbors with other census records to see if they are one and the same person. In my case, I was using various search strategies to prove that there was only one Micajah Davis in that county. And so far that is true. And there was one census record that showed, I think it was this one, that had Mike as a name, which I thought was kind of interesting. But, you know, I still haven't found him in the 1840 census. But again, you know, research continues.